And welcome back, everyone, to Overwatch World Cup APAC Group A. My name is G-Clef, and with me we have Unknown as always. This is week number 2, which means we're halfway through our qualifiers, and some of the teams will actually be started to get eliminated from today. That's going to be the big news.
Yeah, exactly, G-Clef. And I figured out that we already have a team that is mathematically qualifying for the main event here.
No. Oh, yes.
Japan is at 3-0, and with a 6+6 map differential, we already have Japan, who is going to be moving on to the next stage of this tournament. And like you said, G-Clef, some teams, even today, will start getting eliminated from the main stage.
Depending on the result, because we are, of course, with 6 teams, only will be fighting against 5 matches, which means basically you do need to win 3 out of that 5 in order to advance to the next stage. And some of the results, some of the teams actually just having 0-2, which means that if you lose one more, you're sort of out of the tournament. You still have to play until the last day when you have the match, because today we only have 2 matches, but tomorrow and the last day, all teams will actually be playing for the last 2 days. So you still have to give everything you got.
Yeah, very correct. And yes, because like the matches, especially in APAC Group A, were so one-sided either way. There are teams that are at the opposite extremes. Like some teams like Japan are at 3-0. Some teams are like Taipei or Philippines are unfortunately at 0-2 and -4. So usually just getting 3 wins shouldn't be enough to get to guarantee qualification. But because this group is so one-sided, 3 wins will be enough to guarantee qualification.
Yep, as we talk about teams in APAC-A, we'll have more time to talk about it. But before that, we've got a special video ready for you guys. Let's take a look at that first.
For months, competitors from all over the world have battled through trials to prove themselves as the best of the best. Now the teams have assembled, ready to fight for the title of Overwatch World Cup champion. It wouldn't be the Overwatch World Cup without an epic in-person conclusion at the place where it all began, BlizzCon. Which team will emerge victorious and become the first World Cup champions of Overwatch 2? Tune in to find out. Learn more at overwatchworldcup.com.
We can learn more at overwatchworldcup.com. That's where you should go to learn everything about the BlizzCon. That's what this Overwatch World Cup is all about. Now that's out there. Well, we just knew about that too. So that's another exciting news, because that's a big stage, the biggest stage of all.
Exactly. I've had the honor of being at 2018 World Cup at Anaheim at BlizzCon,
Really?
and it was one of the moments that made me start a career in Overwatch. So this is really like hearing this firsthand. Well, chat, you have also seen this firsthand as well. This is really special to me.
Yep, I was actually in a bar eating some pizza, enjoying the game, but from somewhere else. But of course, there are a lot of fans of Overwatch around me, so it was a lot of fun. Actually, if you talk about 2018, but it's 2023, the first champion of Overwatch 2 World Cup will actually be.
I want it to be South Korea, but we'll see. We have a lot of good teams out there.
I would like to go there in person.
Just a reminder for all the chat watching the stream right now, if you want to join the action in the Overwatch World Cup Finals at BlizzCon, ticket informations will be available on the website. So don't forget. You have to remember to go check.
I will certainly. I can't go in and buy right now, but I will certainly check about more information very soon on the website, and possibly book one, because I might have some plans of going to US.
Okay, I'm gonna stick in your cargo, and then maybe I'll just fit in.
I will have a lot of cargo instead, so I might have to book another one or charge some extra for the flight to get there. But let's come back here to World Cup qualifiers, because we're still month away from BlizzCon. But
course.
good to know. Great to know that that's happening.
This is definitely going to be a good motivation for all the players that will be participating in the World Cup as well.
100%.
Because some of these players, like me, have been growing their career aspirations watching the best players play in the Anaheim Center. So, wow, this is just going to be even more on the table for the stakes.
Yes, and will the team from APAC Group A, will South Korea make it there? Will Team Japan make it there? Will Hong Kong make it there? We never know which team will actually be on that final big
least,
stage.
Japan will make it to the group stage.
Yeah, that's guaranteed. That's exactly what we're seeing here. We have APAC-A and APAC-B, so we do have separate groups of the region. The top 3 teams from APAC-A, which we are watching right now, will actually make it out of the 6 teams in Group A. Top 2 teams, Group B, and then we'll have 1 team from China mainland, so they will all go to group stage when they qualify. And this is going to be the second week, the last week of qualifiers.
Yes, so it's still a long road to Anaheim, but still, it is a start. Every good journey has a start, and the latter half of that journey starts today, especially in APAC-A here. And you have your map pool, which hasn't been changed since last week. So this is the usual map pool that you've been seeing for the entirety of the Overwatch World Cup qualifiers, and well, nothing too much special here.
And nothing too much special, though we did not get to see any Numbani. I think that is the only key.
Yeah, Hybrid and Escort are shared on map 2 because the loser of map 1 gets to choose not only the map type, but also the map specific map. So I think a lot of these maps and the specific map type are a little bit neglected to some point, but I hope we do see some Numbani today.
And I believe no push yet, because it has been just 2 zeros all the way up and down.
Not on APAC-A, no.
Yeah, that's why we have even numbers, plus minus differential on maps. Japan and Hong Kong, they already played 3 matches, so those 2 teams are actually not playing today, but the other 4 teams are playing, which means we only have 2 matches. But take a look at those numbers. Well, I would say draw a line in between, and if you make it on the top half, you make it the bottom half, you're gone.
Yeah, there is, as you can see, noticed in week 1 that there is a clear difference in power levels between these teams. Japan already qualified for this group here. They are guaranteed a advancement to the next stage. And South Korea, if they win today, they are also guaranteed advancement to the next stage as well. So, and also for the teams that are ranked 4th, Indonesia, Philippines, and Chinese Taipei, they need to win all their remaining matches in order for them for a chance to qualify.
Yeah, so for some of the teams at the bottom half will be having a very tough time making it out of the qualifier stage. And this is today's schedule. As we have mentioned, the 4 teams that are playing today are going to be Indonesia versus Chinese Taipei. That's our first match of the night. And the second match will be Philippines versus South Korea.
Indonesia Chinese Taipei is going to be very, very, very
I think it's going to be unique.
It's going to be very important for both teams because one team has to lose between the 2 teams. And the team that loses is going to be knocked out of the group here. So it's going to be a do or die stance for both of the teams. And to be honest, it's really interesting to see how the later matches go on, because Indonesia hasn't played Korea yet, and Chinese Taipei already played Korea and Japan. So their next match is actually Philippines versus the Hong Kong.
You're right, and I think
is a little bit doable.
Which I think is one of the biggest story between we have this matchup right now, because both teams with 0-2 result, they need to have all 3 wins starting with this match.
Exactly.
So if you lose this match, you're sort of done. You cannot move up to the next stage. First of all, you need to win this, and for sadly for Indonesia, the next opponent will be South Korea.
Yeah.
So which is in theory anything's possible. It is one of the strongest teams in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen there, but for Chinese Taipei, the good news for them, I guess, if you think about it, that they have already fought the 2 strong favorites of APAC-A, which is Korea and Japan. So technically, I would say Chinese Taipei, they have a higher chance of actually moving up to the next stage if they win this match.
Yeah, if you look at the strength of schedule, like you mentioned, G-Clef, Chinese Taipei is having the advantage there. However, like you mentioned again, they have to win this match first in order for any miracle run to start. So both teams will be here with a very strong resolve, wanting to win this match. Even Indonesia here, they have a really tough strength of schedule after this match, but anything, if they want even like a 0.1% chance of qualifying, they have to start winning today.
And because of head-to-head, not just for the map differential, if they want to advance to the next group stage, I think what you're looking for from this match is actually a 2-0 win.
Yeah, exactly.
You might not even be able to advance to the next stage if you have a 2-1 win. So you need to grab yourself right now from the beginning and win everything.
Yeah, map differential is going to be very key, especially if you're going for that third place spot. Because there will be teams like Hong Kong that are also in a very favorable spot for third place. If they want any advantage, then they have to get a 2-0 win. And here is your starting 5 for Indonesia. I think this is like the standard lineup that you've been seeing from Indonesia all along. I do think that Indonesia needs to throw a little bit of curveballs. I've mentioned this before when Indonesia played. They're not afraid to play flyers. They play the Pharah, they play the Echo. I want to see a little bit more of that because when they were playing when they were playing Japan before, rather, they did bring up the Echo a little bit, but it was a little bit too late. So I just want to see a little bit of a curveball because they know that with the original, well, rather common compositions, it's really hard for them to win.
Yeah, but on the other side, Chinese Taipei, here's their starting roster. We do have Hope and Snow. No Light actually starting off. Might be having the subs in between because that's usually what happens in this lineup. DPS, Nexus here. Sometimes Tomato comes in, depending on the map. And Ray Momo and Maoli. And I think the key here for Chinese Taipei is how can you actually keep Nexus alive? Because Winston has been okay, but against the stronger teams, has been losing a lot of the tank support duels because a lot of the DPS were actually flanking on the other side of the map. So if you can keep that Winston alive, I think that will be the key for both teams.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to point out because Indonesia and Taipei has been both experiencing a lot of they have been experiencing these kind of situations where they can't even have a single team fight because yes, when this is not a JRPG, but Overwatch 2 does have the concept of turns because there are turns where you will be having the ult advantage. However, these both teams all had moments where they were ahead in the ult counts, but they lost isolated members one by one, and they weren't even able to start a team fight. And then after that team fight, the opposition team followed up on ults, so it's now their turn. So for these two teams, keeping all 5 members alive and actually making a organized team fight will be the key. Whoever can do that will be able to win this match.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why we have Ilios. It's a great map to start off to sort of tell. You have to keep the distance from the enemy. At the same time, you cannot be too far off from your own support line. I think this first map will give us a very good idea of what's going to happen within this matchup, as they had some moments of being a little too far away from their support line, as sometimes you were just jumping a little too fast without the teamwork. We could see those moments from both sides, I think, because they were up against stronger teams, of course. But this is the time to prove.
Yep, exactly. And for Ilios, this first round is going to be Ruins. Both teams has been playing this map and the qualifiers before. Both teams are going with the same composition that they were playing on Ruin before, Winston and the double flankers. The only difference is going to be the support line with Chinese Taipei going with the Brig Ana and Indonesia with the Lucio Kiriko here.
Which I do like a lot, keeping the back line stronger with the Brig. I think Chinese Taipei, they know exactly what Indonesia is up for because Speed, Tracer, has been harassing the back line so much within the last 2 matches that we have seen. I think that's the right point.
Indonesia did kind of suffer a lot against Japan. However, Speed 75 was the bright spot of Indonesia here. I think Indonesia does have to play around Speed 75 and harass the backline of Chinese Taipei. There it is. Like you said, G-Cliff, Speed 75 taking out the Chinese Taipei's counterpart. So Indonesia does have the sideline advantage and will be able to take that point back away from Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, 1-2-0 for now for Speed 75 versus Snow. That Tracer duel, of course, it was helped more by Jackram's Winston in that fight. But still, I think Nexus also had right after that getting out DPS. Of course, that was another problem later on after using Tracer. But you could see the support line wasn't really totally dominated or stopped.
Okay, trade kills all around. So Nexus takes out Chanli, so that is the speed boost. Oh, but Indonesia doesn't have their support line, so this is going to be Chinese Taipei's opportunity to get that flip going again. And we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, which I thought Indonesia was supposed to be keeping that round. I think Chinese Taipei also jumped on a pretty good handle. Shrimp, of course, with Kiriko can't really be as sustainable compared to the backline of Chinese Taipei in this matter.
So this is where the turns come in. Chinese Taipei already has that nano online, so they will be able to nano the Winston, and with that nano, Nexus will be able to charge up that Primal Rage, and they can kind of use it in succession so they can keep their point alive. But Indonesia, the key point is going to be the EMP, which is already online. There is that Kitsune Rush. Nexus is down, so Chinese Taipei will be denied that Nano Winston.
That was brilliant by Shrimp, just to join the front line with the Winston, with the Tracer, because you know if you stay on the back line alone, you will be targeted by the other two, the Sombra Tracer of Chinese Taipei, Hope and Snow, both holding ultimates, and Nexus, Ray Momo, it's basically a full 5 ultimates ready to go for Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, it was a good play from Indonesia because they knew that. Oh, there is that early EMP from Indonesia because they know that Chinese Taipei have a lot of ults. This is good aggression from Indonesia. Even the turn before, even the fight before this, they knew that Chinese Taipei would have that Nano Winston so that they would pull the trigger first. Now, here in Indonesia, they pulled the EMP first because they know Chinese Taipei had 5 ults. This is good ult usage from the side of Indonesia. Chinese Taipei have been using ults one by one, but they aren't getting a lot of value out of it because Indonesia were already profiting from the ults.
Drawing out one ult at a time because Indonesia, they knew that Chinese Taipei has been holding those ults for a very long time. Wanted to draw one by one, but in a pretty good response. I think Chinese Taipei did a pretty good job here handling some of the EMP and also the Primal Rage. They were able to bring that Winston down easily.
So yes, Chinese Taipei did finally be able to flip that point away, but Indonesia is already at 93%. So one teamfight win will be able to at least bring into last fight territory for Chinese Taipei, and Chanli also has the sound barrier to counter any EMP aggression here, and oh no, but Zekrom falls before Chanli can save him with the sound barrier, so Indonesia has to fall back. This is a crucial win for Chinese Taipei to make this even.
They are pushing them all the way out there. We do have a pause for a second. 93 to 80% is actually going to be the percentage, but at the moment it seems like we have slight connection issues. I think it was speed. Actually,
I was not able to see the in-game chat, but I think prediction will fill us in with whatever's happening. But this is a good match so far for both teams. Indonesia, they were showing very good ultimate discipline because they knew what the other team has. They knew what other resources that the other team had, and they kind of executed on how they could take advantage of that situation, even though if it was not such an advantageous situation. I think they made a lot of good things out of whatever resources they had. Chinese Taipei, on the other hand, yes, they did kind of a little bit slip when they had 5 ultimates, but in the end, they are in control of the point right now. They made a crucial teamfight win, and they have more ultimates than Indonesia right now. And the important part is that they hold the point right now. So one more teamfight win, and it might close the deal for them.
Yeah, it's going to be close, as I think it was high 70% for Chinese Taipei, and Indonesia very close. If they can flip, even if Indonesia loses the next fight, very likely it seems like to me that Chinese Taipei, they're not really willing to hold everything onto it because the opponent's pretty close to that 100%. And also they still had few more ultimates left, I think. I think they had at least a Pulse and I think Nano was just used, so I think Rally was the other one that's available. So keeping those two, which could be okay. You know that Indonesia is chipping up for gathering up some ults for the final fight. They just have to push once again. So depending on how many you use for the next fight, if you win the neutral fight and without using any ultimates, I think there's a chance the Chinese Taipei can actually running away with the first map.
Exactly. If you are Indonesia and this is Chinese Taipei has the point right now, so they want to make a quick fight where you bait out the ultimates from Chinese Taipei and you save yours and then use them for the last fight, because you know that there is a last fight available if they lose one very quickly, or even better, if you can just, like you said, G-Clef, if you win the neutral fight without using ults and then they have to pop ults, then it's going to be game over in favor of them. So it'll be definitely interesting to see what they bring up right now after the pause. I'm still not hearing from production, so it looks like it will be, the issue's not fixed yet, so it's time for us to talk.
Yeah, not yet. And I actually love the fact that both of the teams, because they were oftentimes dominated on the back line of Winston, Tracer, Sombra diving in and just cutting off the back line in the next few seconds. We could see on both sides, depending on the comp. First of all, Indonesia, they're willing to jump with the Winston from the support line with Kiriko, which is very risky unless you have some ults available. But it did happen, and Kiriko was able to survive. And of course, on the other side, the Chinese Taipei actually brought in Anna Brigade, which is a slightly more safe backline duo, if you want to think about it that way, with the Biotic Grenade and also with the Rally and the Shield. You could see that from the team comp and the plays that are coming out so far, both teams are totally ready for any type of Winston dives.
I see immense improvement on both sides, which is really good to see, and it's something that they need if they want to get clinch that qualification spot. Chinese Taipei, there is that pulse bomb on Chonli. That is very important, because Indonesia needed that sound barrier to contest, and no, it's going to be overtime for Chinese Taipei. Nobody can touch in Indonesia. They were so reliant on that sound barrier, which was denied by Snow. Good play from Chinese Taipei.
One pulse bomb to secure the first of Ilios. And that's something that Chinese Taipei needed. Oh, Snow just having that perfect pulse bomb on the back. As in the small room, sometimes you just can't see where the Tracer is coming. Actually, came around the back. Must have been hiding on top. For the screen that we missed, I think we missed about 5-10 seconds before that.
Wow. Wow, that pulse bomb from Snow leaves me wordless right now. But now we're going to Lighthouse. Both teams have history of using Echo, so and it looks like Indonesia is playing running the Echo comp without the Mercy. So it's going to be Winston, Echo, Tracer with the Brig Ana lineup, and then Chinese Taipei is going with the double flankers. So air priority for Indonesia. This is what we've been talking about a lot. The team with the Echo has air superiority, but they have to make the most out of it, because on the ground you will be at a numbers deficit. So either you have to do enough damage with the Echo, or you have to survive the 4v5.
Yeah, and because of the competition, Chinese Taipei, they have to be having their back line indoors, unless you can't really be safe on that second floor where the Winston is jumping right now. But taking out Echo is okay. If you can actually work like that, I guess you can actually buy more room, buy more space by having your Winston like that.
Okay, Zekrom fell first in that fight, and then so a lot of priority went to the way of Chinese Taipei, and they are taking first point. This is going to be really difficult for Indonesia now, because they are under a roof on the point, and then it's under that. It's going to be a little bit hard for Echo to do a lot of damage. So the Echo composition is very viable when you already have the point and you are denying any access of the opponent to the point. But if you are denied the point right now, then it's doubly hard to make any value out of the Echo.
Yeah, that's the thing. As Echo, if you can stay alive, but Chinese Taipei, they're actually staying together and not losing their DPS, and Nano Winston actually going all the way on top, buying a lot more space, not able to... Okay, got one. Can you actually get a second? Because Snow and Hope, they're actually fighting somewhere else.
And wow, Nexus is popping the Primal Rage. And okay, that is total reset for the side of Indonesia. And 67-68, it's already going 70% on the way to Chinese Taipei. So Indonesia has to stabilize real quick, or they are going to give an easy round 2 win. And also the map for Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, for a second I thought it was going to be the other way actually, because Indonesia had the high ground control with Echo. But the damage was actually not continuing up with the Tracer and also Zekron's Winston. And instead, Nexus just dove in with the Nano, saying, okay, we can actually have the lead if he dive in.
A good stick to Nexus, however, it was a tank and did not register a kill. However, Snow does register a kill on the Echo of all people, and it looks like Indonesia will be slowly bleeding out of members to touch the point. Yes, good rally there for the sustain. However, will it be enough? Oh, Speed 75 to the rescue. So it will be Chinese Taipei on the numbers disadvantage now. Zekrom with that extra kill now. Okay, so somehow Indonesia makes it work and flips the kill, flips the point, and stays alive for the time being.
Chun-Li's rally literally saved the team there, and also Speed 75 going for the kill onto Snow. From that moment, Zekrom was almost ready with that Primal Rage, so line of things actually worked perfectly for Indonesia to keep their numbers advantage, and Proxies joined soon enough. So flipping the point now, but still Chinese Taipei having that 99. All they have to do is possibly just gather some ult charges a few more times.
Hope taking out Proxies again. So it's going to be numbers advantage for Chinese Taipei, and Raymomo, excuse me, has that nano on the Winston and will be harassing the backline.
Yeah, there's
Shrimp
Nexus again.
is down to pieces, and it is going to be, people are going to be flushed out of the point, but they need a retouch if they want to stay alive, but no! Okay, that is...
Yeah, no one else was available at that time. The Echo comp certainly did not work out. I thought potentially Team Indonesia was actually going to be controlling a lot more of that middle ground space, and because Chinese Taipei, they had the double flank and relying a lot heavily on Winston. I thought the Winston was going to be the first one to be targeted, but somehow Indonesia, they were separating the damage from the middle line, the back line. Just did not work as to how they planned. Maybe they had a different plan. I couldn't really read exactly what they were going for because they had the air control, but seemed like the damage wasn't really following up on the right target most of the time.
Exactly, and also what I wanted to point out is that if you're going to use the Echo composition, then you have to take the point first. And I think that was their plan going into this map, Lighthouse, but Zekrom got caught out first on the first fight, and it was literally unable. They were unable to take that point first because they lost priority on the positioning. And I think at that point maybe they should have swapped the Echo out, but yeah. So clearly the Echo didn't work, and it cost them really dearly. I don't think Echo registered a single copy this match.
Yeah, there was no duplicate. I do not remember any of that actually. And a lot of the better things for Chinese Taipei is actually the one of the ace players and one of the ace tracer players we have from the group has been a Speed 75 at the very beginning of Ilios on the first, has been winning that 1v1, but actually Snow coming in pretty clutch, landing those pulse bombs a few times. Catching that Echo with the pulse bomb, which is pretty rare, as you pointed out.
Exactly.
It wasn't too far away from the ground, which is pretty uncommon. And it wasn't totally paired up with Mercy, of course, so it wasn't powered up to the maximum level. And on top of that, they were doped by the Winston, Nano Winston, but with no other source of DPS on top. And that was just enough to take out both of the support, which should not happen that often. When that happens, either your own Winston comes back to save your back line, or one of the DPS has to come. And when those, the moments that we saw on screen was, I guess they're busy doing something else on the other side of the map, which did not register as a trading kill, which means there are a lot of problems on the back line, the middle tank, and also the DPS.
Well, I mean...
we saw that twice in a row.
Yeah, but...
Not just once.
Yes, but also a lot of credit is deserved on the Chinese Taipei side because they have been... from the previous matches, we've seen that they have been a lot. We've seen a lot of disordination rather, on their dives, on their rushes. But I've seen a lot more organization and a lot of target priority here. Like you said, the Nano Winston was registering really was profiting a lot. They were harassing the backline, even maybe able to register a few kills, especially on Lighthouse. So that's a really good improvement on the side of Chinese Taipei. I think if they can keep this up, they will be clear favorites for even map 2 as well. For Indonesia, like you mentioned, they need to play a little bit more as a team. If you're going with the safer backline with the Brig and the Ana should not be dying to that Winston dive, especially if Winston's the only one going to jump. Even with the Nano, I think that there are measures for that backline to able to survive a little bit longer. So maybe if Indonesia can work on that a little bit before the next map, I think they might see a little bit of improvement here. Like you also said, not just the composition, but also the target acquisition and target focusing needs to be a little bit improved on the side of Indonesia. But hey, you know, that's what the coaches are there. So I'll definitely be expecting a little bit better map 2.
And another thing I caught before we actually go into the next map, we'll have the next map, by the way. It's going to be Blizzard World. Pretty good for both teams because they do love running both double flanks. But before we actually move in, I do want to point out Ray Momo's Ana has been contesting against the Echo with no mercy. So Echo was always contested by that sniper.
Well, yes, I mean, she is a sniper.
Poisonous sniper. And that's the reason why Echo could not really deliver as much. That was another highlight that we didn't really mention during the game. But Rainbow Mozana is kind of scary.
Yeah, Rainbow Mozana, like, not just like the Nano Winston moments, was just doing really well today, and I expect to see a little bit more of that. Blizzard World is a good choice, I guess, for Indonesia. The loser of map 1 gets map type selection and map selection. So I think it makes a little sense because they love running the Winston. They're not, I assume that they're not as comfortable of other compositions than the Winston double flankers. Like you said, G-Club, this is a good map for a double flanker, so they want to profit as much. I think, oh, okay.
Yeah, we have Tomato. And what else you were going to say?
Oh, I was about to point out that Proxies was hovering the Vera, and we have a Pharmacy online for the defense. So this is defense for Indonesia. So it looks like there aren't going to be any changes to that. It's interesting to see. And you mentioned Tomato. Tomato has been the traditional off-tank for the side of Chinese Taipei. So I assume that Chinese Taipei want to go with the Junker Queen composition here.
Yeah, Tomato has been the player running that J Queen on Chinese Taipei. And I would say that's actually going to stay very likely. Let's see, with Hope on that Sojourn, maybe Indonesia is going to have some tough time, even with that Fire Mercy in the air. I think they're hiding for now.
To be honest, the Sojourn is not necessarily the best hero to go against a airborne composition like the Pharmacy, but if Hope has the Railgun charged up, then that's going to be a different story. So it will be very interesting to see whether Indonesia can profit from the Pharmacy before Hope gets to charge this Railgun. Shrimp takes the first kill on Snow, so that is that flanker down. Chinese Taipei will have to either fall back or maybe gamble on that 4v5.
For now, they're actually just rotating around, like waiting for Snow to come back. And can actually flank because, of course, it's Tracer. But Indonesia just keeping the ground. But which ground do you keep when you are forced to rotate around the point? Yeah, they're actually scattered up, Indonesia. Even if you have the DPS in the air, you do have to keep on controlling your own points.
Yes, but Indonesia, like, yes, they're scattered out, but that also means that there are multiple angles to shoot. However, if you lose Zekrom and Proxies, that doesn't have any meaning. And that will be everyone scattered down to pieces. And already Chinese Taipei, during that chaotic fight, they took the point.
I think first of all, Chinese Taipei, their rotation into, even before looking at that Pharaoh Mercy, maybe they have expected that air comp because there was Echo before. to come out from Indonesia, but even before that, the rotation around the point saying, okay, if we rotate and force you guys out, you guys can't really control the space. That's one thing that they have been lacking on in terms of fighting. So Chinese Taipei knowing exactly what to do on this map on the first point.
I think Indonesia had the right idea because they were, in the end, Chinese Taipei is running the Junker Queen comp, which isn't the best at handling airborne fighters like the Farah Mercy. However, again, time and again and again and again, Indonesia is losing Zekrom first, and if you lose that tank, you don't have any positional advantage here. Oh, and there's no kills from the barrage, and rather Hope is with the ultimate there and is doing a lot of damage. The overclock doing tons of value compared to that Farah barrage.
Yeah, that barrage was just a desperate Q there, as didn't really have the perfect positioning. Was not bad, but you have to have all the members not looking towards you if you want to have it that way. There's another kill from Snow. With tank gone, when do you already have your Kizuna Rush from Indonesia? I don't know what else you're actually potentially capable of.
Good resignation, good res.
Oh, res come through
from Zeko. Oh, that is a fatty nade from, wow.
Yeah, the sound barrier and the rampage to keep that up perfectly from Chinese Taipei. No kills whatsoever.
I apologize. It was not actually the nade, but it was actually the rampage anti-heal that denied all the healing on the side of Indonesia. What a great play from Chinese Taipei. They are steamrolling through the side of Indonesia.
Okay, Indonesia, they need to not just regroup, they need to regroup mentally, because everything's falling apart. Now, with Sombra Tracer, I think this is, in theory, much better comp, because this is what they're known for. Indonesia, I'm talking about. But Chinese Taipei, can they really stop the roll?
Also, like, swapping compositions this late into the map, well, yes, it was needed. However, it means that they will be very, very behind on the ultimate fight. Yes, Chinese Taipei, Tomato used the Rampage, so it's going to be a while before we see another Rampage. However, DPS, Hope is already closer to another overclock, which we have seen before on point B, have been so effective. Snow being the main hero here, taking out members of Indonesia one by one. They don't even need ultimates to win this fight. Indonesia is falling apart. They need
look
to...
at the positioning of Chinese Taipei. Even though they're pushing at the same time, they're actually gathered around that mini corner, so they can be healed and they can cover up for their teammates at the same time.
It is going to be an uphill fight for the side of Indonesia here, because it looks like it's going to be final fight territory. However, they have the overclock, they have the pulse bomb, they have the Kitsune Rush. The Kitsune Rush is here, and Maoli will be closing to the sound barrier really quick. Oh, pulse bomb takes out Zekrom, and I don't think Indonesia has enough members.
Just speed, never mind, he's gone too, and that's going to be a three-pointer for Chinese Taipei, pushing all the way in Blizzard World, first half.
Wow, what a display from the DPS lineup of Chinese Taipei. Yes, the tank and the supports did really, really well as well. However, it was, I think Snow was someone that I thought would struggle against Speed 75, because Speed 75's Tracer was so impressive in the earlier matches of the qualifiers. However, Snow is defying expectations here and showing that he is at least the better DPS of the day.
Yeah, I think Unknown, you're totally right, but at the same time, if you put Speed 75 and Snow 1-1 on Tracer, I think it's about even, maybe even still slightly better for Speed, I would argue. But because of the positioning and the teamwork that Chinese Taipei was able to bring, even while they're pushing, they're actually gathered up so well that Indonesia just couldn't poke into the right hole. And while they're trying to find that right hole, Zekrom was going down so many times even before the real fight happened. So Indonesia's having a lot of tough time today.
Again, once again, from on the side of Indonesia, the Flyers weren't getting as much value. It wasn't even... we've seen South Korea run the Farah Mercy comp and get the... We saw Sparkle's Farah get Barrage after the first fight. However, Indonesia... unfortunately, wasn't able to register that Barrage as quickly, and even with that Barrage, didn't get a single kill and got eliminated by Hope's overclock. So I think they realized this, and they are going with the traditional double flankers, but they're not going with the Flyers right now.
Yeah, so in the second half, well, Indonesia, they certainly need to push all the way with some better teamwork as Chinese Taipei. We're getting that double flank, the usual team comp that we do see from them. And first jump from Zekrom.
Making a good jump and good follow-up by Speed 75. So they are going to take that high ground here. However, Zekrom again falls down. So this is maybe going to be even fight, maybe in favor of Chinese Taipei, which will be because Ray Momo is taking down Shrimp. Zekrom, that was a little bit of a questionable maneuver from Zekrom here because Zekrom, yes, the jump to the high ground was really, really well executed. However, the follow-up drop from there, Zekrom was very low and did not necessarily needed to go down. All they needed was to get control of the high ground, get healed up, and use that positional advantage. However, I think Zekrom was a little bit too over-eager there.
Yeah, I think Zekrom, because he had another protector, might have felt that it was safe, but we're on to the next fight already here as Chinese Taipei still trying to hold the ground. Not even one tick yet. Still being contested as Indonesia, trying to take away the neutral 5 point. No ultimates available from either side. But there's a first as Chun-Li goes down. Indonesia, they're losing the back line from the flanks. And the shots from Hope.
So will Indonesia go back and reset, or will they be even allowed to?
From the back,
no.
they don't even know where the opponents are. Rotation from, because of that speed boost, the rotation might be a little bit fast from Chinese Taipei. You always have to watch out.
Yeah, so right now it's a little bit difficult for the side of Indonesia. Maybe they have to make the most out of the Kitsune Rush, maybe even wait out for the EMP a little bit. I think, though, Speed 75 has to register this pulse bomb in order for them to make a breakthrough for this map. Chinese Taipei, like, Hope, without even the overclock, is making a phenomenal play here. Taking out the DPSs, maybe even sometimes the Winston. So it's going to be a difficult fight for the side of Indonesia. Here is the contest for the point. I expect a lot of ults this fight. This fight's going to be very important.
Actually catching not many from Chinese Taipei. They backed off and the sound barrier is in perfect place, getting Sombra first. Tomatoes on point and still a lot of ultimates available from Chinese Taipei. They're low indeed, but I don't think they'll be going down immediately.
Good sound barrier from Maui to negate the effects for the EMP. And here, okay, Indonesia actually wants to commit. The sound barrier is there, but Chun-Li falls. And, oh dear, what are they going to fight with next fight? They don't have it tomorrow.
Okay, Speed 75 was able to do some, but that sound barrier was not able to catch the Winston. Zekrom went down right before. If that Winston survived, I think Indonesia had a better chance of at least getting a few more ticks or a few more kills out of that fight. But Chinese Taipei holding the right amount of ultimates still. Their supports, the back line has been incredible so far in this match.
Indonesia going with the desperate pharmacy here. However, Chinese Taipei, they have the overclock, they have the rampage. They are in a good position to win. Indonesia needs a miracle if they want to make this happen.
Yeah, 20 seconds left at Indonesia. They need to have everything on the point. The pharmacy now. Oh, not even a chance! That overclock is just going to secure everything down. Mercy down. Even the rampage just to secure the kill, and the time's ticking. I don't think there's any choice.
75 there to touch. However, that was his last breath, last whisper. And there goes Indonesia. Chinese Taipei win. And wow, they start their miracle run right here.
Yeah, 2-0. Chinese Taipei, they need to win the rest of the qualifiers in order to advance, but they will start right here with a convincing 2-0 map score, exactly the score that they needed, that they wanted out of this match.
Exactly. Unfortunately for Indonesia, yes, they do have to play the remainder of their games, but mathematically they will be eliminated from the World Cup qualifiers here. And wow, impressive showing from Chinese Taipei. Because Chinese Taipei, like I can see that they improved a lot compared to week one. I've mentioned this briefly before, but they have been a little bit, let's just say, a lot to be desired on their team organization, maybe their target priority, target acquisition. Sometimes they were all over the place, but today, at least today, they were showing that they know what they need to do to win, and then they executed to an acceptable level that was needed to win the game.
So from Indonesia, we could see some feedbacks taken from both sides. Chinese Taipei, of course, were the winners, but even from Indonesia, we could see that they had some plans. First of all, if they wanted to cook an egg, first it was sunny side up, and then it was okay. Let's cook it all the way. But the oil wasn't really fired up, and then it turned into scrambled egg towards the end. And for this matchup, scrambled egg was not enough. You needed sausages, bacon. You need everything on the plate
The full
to
course.
actually win this match against Chinese Taipei. For now, I don't think that was ready yet to be grabbing out of this match. And that's just what it was. Chinese Taipei, they had a lot better control. We could see a lot of better improvement in terms of their team fighting, the positions, and especially when we talk about the backline strength. Ray Momo and Maoli, they were doing a phenomenal job keeping that Winston alive. But on the other side, it was, of course, not enough.
Yeah,
in card level.
I think Indonesia, like, I still want to give them a little bit of credit because they had the right idea. They knew that they were not going to. I guess they had a less probability of winning if they wanted to mirror what a Chinese Taipei did. So they did, like I asked, through those curveballs in the form of Echo and the form of Pharmacy, but it didn't work out. The execution was a little bit left for desire, and well, still props to Indonesia. They did fight really well, and also congrats to Taipei.
Yep, and on top of that, Snow was having one of the better days for sure on that Tracer. So it was even worse for Indonesia to actually pull that off. But that's only the first match of the day. We do have the second match of the day. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be Philippines versus South Korea. So when we come back, we'll have that match number 2. And welcome back, everyone, to APAC Group A of Overwatch World Cup Qualifiers, week number 2, day number 4. I got everything right there, right?
Yes.
And the important match now is going to be the second match of the night, which is going to be Philippines versus South Korea. A big hype match where Philippines, they're going to be fighting for their life here as they already have 0-2. South Korea, 2-0, the opposite, having that +4.
Yeah, so it's going to be the battle of both sides here. Philippines, like you said, is going to be fighting for survival in this tournament. And Korea is just looking for an early qualification because they only played 2 matches yet. If they do win this match today, they will be joining Japan on that 3-win club. So definitely something to play for on both sides.
Yeah, I think this is another hard match for Philippines. Any team in the group against South Korea, they're going to have a tough match. I think South Korea, because they skipped day 2, I think they will be playing today, tomorrow, and the last day because they already skipped a match on the second day. But here, as Philippines, they already had 2 hard opponents, which were Japan and also Hong Kong. But their toughest opponent seems to be the third day, the most important day, where you literally have if you're knocked out from the tournament or not.
Exactly. Philippines would have probably wanted to have a win before they met South Korea, because meaning that they will have, if they do lose this match today, it will be 0-3. They would have probably felt a little bit more comfortable if they were coming onto this matchup 1-1 instead of 0-2, because their next matchups going to be against Chinese Taipei and Indonesia, which on paper seems like the teams that they can definitely win against. So it would have been nice if Philippines went into this matchup 1-1. It would have been a little bit more comfortable for them. However, reality is that they are 0-2. They need to absolutely win this match if they want to still compete for qualification.
Yeah, because this is going to be one of the hardest match for Philippines for sure. But on the other side, for South Korea, we've seen stellar performance for the first 2 against Chinese Taipei, against Hong Kong, 2-0s, of course. And this one is another match where I don't think they will be showing 100% of their power level, as we could see a lot of substitutions in and out between the rosters, because there's Hanbin Fearless, both amazing tanks, of course, and also Chio Fielder Finn, the support back lines. I think there's a lot of compliments going in. I've seen a lot of clips going on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere, basically, for South Korea, as they were just literally having a fun time playing with their teammates.
Exactly. South Korea is an all-star team. They are clear favorites not only for this group, but they are routed as one of the best teams to win the entire tournament here, especially now that we know that the Grand Finals is going to be at BlizzCon. This is a team that we are expecting to show up on BlizzCon. So it's going to be a very hard task for the side of Philippines to win against Korea. However, if they want to win, they have to work on Pugbut and Walked not being picked on early, because we've seen time and time again that Philippines, when they lose on their bad days, Pugbut and Walked on the Winston and Genji is getting picked out one by one before the team fight even starts. So we've seen a lot of matches where Philippines didn't even have the chance to even have a team fight. So if they want an actual chance, they need to make these I guess, improvements, because you're not going to win against Korea on a team fight that you have a numbers disadvantage on.
Yeah, which exactly was the point that I wanted to mention. So Walked was actually cut off before the team fight, or the very early moment of team fight, a couple of times, maybe slightly more than a couple of times, which also means leaves a lot more to be desired from the support line. But the fact that we're moving the screen on to South Korea, but let's talk about Philippines a little more. We have Grandisado actually starting instead of Zeno, which I think had slightly more stable backline with a lot more experience in competitive play. So I think this is a lineup that they exactly the lineup they should play against South Korea. I do love their choice.
Well, I also think that the first map, I'm going to spoil this a little bit, is going to be Lijiang Tower. So I think that map, sorry, but I have to mention this because I think that is one of the reasons why Grandisado is also starting, because I believe that Grandisado can also play flex support heroes. So maybe a double flex support might be in order for this. Maybe, like, especially on, let's see, Control Center. We might see a little bit of Baptiste Ana, a little bit, maybe. Maybe that's their thought process of thinking. However, it is very interesting to see Grande Sato here. We haven't seen Finn yet, so it's not going to be the same for South Korea. South Korea is going to be the traditional main support and flex support, and Hanbin starting here, meaning that we might see a little bit of Junker Queen or Ramatra.
Yep, because Fearless has been the tank on the Winston most of the times, and on Hanbin, a few other things, as we've seen Diva on the screen just now, as Unknown spoiled a little early. We're going into Lijiang Tower, first map, as wherever we go into Lijiang Tower, well, let's see what kind of team comp Philippines is going to bring, because every single team against Team Korea, no team for now was able to keep that back line alive. Not even just one. Both of them went down every single time, but that was most of the time with Fearless. Maybe it's going to be slightly different with Hanbin. But the scary thing is, we mentioned the tank and the back line all the time, but you have to challenge against the DPS. It's Sparkle and Liv.
Sparkle and Liv. Like, let that sink in a little bit.
They destroy.
It looks like it's going to be Gardens, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so this might be Philippines' chance to play the Pharah. There you go. And looking at the hovers right now, it looks like Philippines is going with the Pharmacy and Orion. Interesting choice. Well, South Korea with Hanbin, I am definitely not going to be surprised if Hanbin still goes with the Junker Queen. Hanbin has been dominating, has been showing a lot of good performances on the Overwatch League as the Dallas Fuel on that pick. So maybe that... Yes, I think that is this is going to be the default pick here, and the double flight. No, actually, Sparkle is going with the Echo. This is a good choice versus the Pharah specifically. So maybe South Korea was expecting the Pharah here.
And actually, the Philippines rotating the other way. Pugbot changed back to Winston, not staying with the Reinhardt.
This is what you want to see if you're the Philippines. Wooked taking the first kill. However, South Korea instantly responds, and I don't think there will be a Geno res here.
He has slightly more DPS available for South Korea for now, but with Fielder actually getting jumped, getting dominated by Grande Sato and Zeno. We'll see what actually happens without the Winston. They might be having trouble sustaining the DPS output from Sparkle. Is just outrageous, and you can't follow that up having the highest percentage already.
Okay, South Korea, out of all that chaos, did manage to get first point, and although Chun-Li is taking Sparkle out, however, although South Korea is losing individual members, they are still winning the grander fight of things. So in the grander scheme of things, South Korea is already in high. Look at their ult charges right now. They have a choice of how they want to have this fight. They can start with Lip taking out a backline with the pulse bomb. They can start with that. I was trying to talk about ults, but Sparkle on their neutral fight, they didn't even need to expend the ults for the fight to win. And this is going to be yet another difficult fight for the side of Philippines.
Yeah, another take available for South Korea. Sparkle Gates, and that's a team wipe again, 52%. Hanbin still holding that rampage. Liv wasn't even able to do too much.
Sparkle,
just fooling around here.
Yeah, so using that jump just for using another trickshot for that glide over there, which Sparkle didn't even use. But now, if you look at the ults here, Philippines, maybe they want to use the Kitsune Rush and the duplicate. However, South Korea does have measures. They have their Kitsune Rush of their own, and not only that, they have the Rampage. And look at the comp of the Philippines here. The only countermeasure to that will be the Suzu for the side of Philippines. South Korea will be looking to use that Hanbin ult as soon as that Suzu is deployed, but they don't even need the Rampage. They just use the Kitsune Rush, and then they're cleaning house.
Yeah, that's it, because South Korea, they were in already with their position, and that's 100% of the first. Pogba did go into Primal Rage slightly too late. There's a stick. We'll continue with the play-by-play, but the game, of course, 1-0 for South Korea already. And here, we could see a lot of scrimmage from the bridge. Yes, here's the replay. Sparkle just dominating the first few fights. the Philippines, we could see that they had a better idea this time because they were able to get few of the back lines like Fielder and Chio especially, who thought was safe on the back. But in the meantime, the Philippines, they were able to catch few kills. Of course, in trade, it was always better for South Korea.
I think Philippines is still kind of figuring out what they want to do here. Yes, they did pick up a few individual kills, but as a team, they still, I still have that feeling. That,
Genji.
oh no. But coming back to my point, I still think that they don't have a good team fight here because they're losing individual members. Yes, they do pick out individual members of South Korea, but they are getting traded every time, almost every time. So even though they do make an individual win on the DPS duel or maybe even the tank duel, they still don't get anything on the objective because they can't fight.
And here's the neutral fight. Sparkle getting it first. Reinhardt probably lost the shield and went down immediately. There's trying to go back, but here's Genji. Gets a few more kills. Hanbin actually picking up those kills by his own. Zarya keeping that bubble. Had a lot of energy saved.
All right, South Korea, this composition is something that I'll just say that it's a very confident composition on the side of South Korea. They know that although this composition isn't absolutely optimal, they're confident enough to make this work, and they're actually making it working because they're winning the individual duels, and because Philippines are losing key members of the squad like Puckbutt early on, they can't even start team fight.
Granizado responding back with own pearlescence on the other side, actually catching Fielder. This could be the key, going back into the point.
Sparkle with the Death Blossom doesn't get anyone, but however, Puckbutt is very low, gets healed up. Hanbin.
There's a Graviton. Caught a little too many, caught up near the corner.
Oh, that is a very, very high energy Zarya there. That is a third DPS if you have one. And although Philippines got that early kill on Fielder, South Korea, with those two ultimates, with the Death Blossom, with the Graviton Surge, is able to make the 4v5 happen. And oh, I see the chat over there, and it wasn't an Ajax. I was not.
Was.
Okay.
The Genos sound barrier did not pop off. Actually got caught in the middle there. As there's the blade from Liv trying to chase Weep.
Okay. Oh, and does able to get Zeno in the end. So, and the annihilation on the side of Puckbutt already expired. Philippines are 2-3 members down. And that is going to be another team fight win for South Korea, even with the Philippines expending a lot of their ultimates.
Yeah, even with that, the Philippines, they were not able to take anything back from South Korea on this second control. That was even slightly a harder time, I would say. But I did like the changes immediately into Ram after the Reinhardt and a few other DPS changes, even though it did not work out at the end. You could see clearly that Philippines are having a quicker feedback. So what should we do? What should we change into? This is clearly not working against the comp with South Korea for now, and it was quick feedbacks, but the neutral fight was not at the same level, so they could not really bring the control for themselves.
Exactly. I think right now Philippines is having a hard time just to. I'm repeating this over and over again, but they're not even given the opportunity to have a proper team fight because South Korea is tearing down Philippines. Like by each member, like they're making isolated kills on Puckbutt, they're making isolated kills on Wooked. So the Philippines, it seems like during the entirety of the match, Philippines was always on a numbers advantage. And even though the Philippines did manage to make maybe 1 or 2 individual kills, but at that point, it was already Korea are at that point, even when Fielder, I think, was down on the Lucio. South Korea already had those ult advantages, and it wasn't even a contest.
Well, what do you say? South Korea is ready to compete, and they're ready to slay any team in the group stage qualifiers. So this is what it's looking like to be in the second map. But let's see what Philippines can actually do, because they get to choose now the second map of their choice, hybrid, escort, whichever one. And which do you think is one of the better maps for Philippines? Whichever map it's going to be a challenge. So ideally, I think you want to pull your best map for maybe just having your best comp in with the lineup that you had, because for the lineup that Philippines, they actually did not have Redux. They actually had Chun-Li on the DPS line, which was supposed to be a support for the team.
Well, it's going to be a very difficult choice because whatever map you play, South Korea will be prepared to throw something really threatening at you. But if you kind of focus a little bit more on their strengths, it looks like the Winston comp looks slightly better than their rush compositions. I've seen the Rhine rush, I see a little bit of the Ram rush there, but I still think that it's going to be the Winston dive comp that's going to be the most effective for the side of Philippines. So maybe Blizzard World. I mean, I'm sure you're tired of Blizzard World, but
Never tired. Never tired, but and also we did get one Ajax, so let's break it, Ajax.
So it's
usually
like,
what
let's
happens.
bring it up. So yes, but I mean, it's praise to South Korea. Although they are expected to be really good on this match, on this matchup, and they're clear favorites for this match. Delivering it on this kind of fashion is something that requires skill and tactics. So good execution on the side of South Korea. I don't know what to expect from this team right now because they've been showing all kinds of different things. I haven't been expecting the Fielder Lucio. If you haven't noticed, Chiyo and Fielder were swapping roles of main support and flex support, and Hanbin also, I mean, on that traditional, well, not traditional, but on the trademark Junker Queen. So
yeah, Junker King plus that Zarya on the second map. It was I actually want to use both hands here. One DPS goes in, and then the tank, and then the other DPS jumps in, and there's a bubble, and then the Zarya goes in with their own shield. So it was just ping pong back and forth, gathering energy, plus keeping that DPS alive. Oh yeah, which was one of the best play you can actually do with Zarya.
Yeah, I was about to mention that, like Zarya playing, we don't see a lot of Zarya these days, and
not so often.
And one of the reasons that I mentioned Blizzard World is that Blizzard World, well, maybe Blizzard World on the side of Philippines because
nope, it's gonna be Circuit Royale, which is a map we've seen once, I believe, or twice.
Yes, I've actually seen this map in yes, on the match between South Korea and Chinese Taipei, I believe. Okay. This was also a Lip Genji map,
which already happened in our Lijiang Tower, so it could totally happen again. As one certainly was the choice from Philippines, and hope they're ready.
To be honest, I think that any composition on the side of South Korea works right now because I've been mentioning the Junker Queen, the Zarya. I mean, if you can make the Zarya comp work in any map, then you can basically run anything here. I think this is going to be more focused on how Philippines is going to adapt. So I'm definitely eager to see what they come up with.
As we headed to Circuit, let's see. As the comp from South Korea, and by the way, no subs on either side. So we'll just continue with Chun-Li being on that DPS. I think it's certainly putting on a different color for Philippines for now.
Oh, Chun-Li on the Widowmaker. That's
the nerfed Widowmaker. We've seen it a couple times from the other regions, but not really being effective. It was usually on a losing team.
Yes.
If I really want to be honest.
So Philippines is going with a little bit of more conventional, I guess, composition, if you will say, on Circuit Royale with the Sigma and snipers, because this map is a long map, like in a straight line, and it has a lot of good positions for Widow to have good sightlines on. However, South Korea is going with, they're doing it again. They're going with the Zarya, the Lip Genji, and Fielder Lucio, and they're trying to spawn camp here.
Oh, worked on that Echo. Ooh, be caught by Chiyo. Nice kill picked up from the back line. Yeah, now with Echo gone, Mercy has to, I guess that's a pair that has to go together all the time. South Korea still keeping it okay. Hanbin Sparkle about 20-something percentage. No real big fight as Philippines, they're trying to rotate again here.
Yeah, but South Korea, they're straight at the walls here. They're listening to where Philippines is trying to get out from, which entrance they're gonna get out from. Walked again, shot down by Chio.
Which means that you can't heal your teammate at the same time. Fielder eventually goes down.
Is gonna be a little salty at that. However, as a team though, South Korea is still cleaning house. Yes, they will be having a shorter spawn because it's right in front of you. However, South Korea, they will be able to have, well, Fielder back in the fight.
Yeah, Fielder back as a Mercy now. No more Lucio saying, okay, I'm not going to be near you guys at all. I'm just going to turn into something else. As Bugbot again on Winston. Philippines, they have to come out from this point as they have been rotating a few times. Was on that Echo, now on that Genji was cut off by Hanbin. Which side do they actually want to rotate and focus?
They want to rotate on their left side, which is right side on the Korean side of things. However, look at this. Look at Chio. Look at how much damage Chio did because Chio already has that now. That's the first ultimate out of everything, and I don't think that's from healing.
That's from the damage plus the healing. It has to. Okay, there's a Graviton
in front of the gate.
Ouch! That's gonna hurt a lot of Tepson.
That is gonna destroy a lot of morale. And Bugbot is jumping forward. However, it is gonna be a primary target, and there's that Lip Dragon Blade
in the spawn.
Oh dear, and look at the time, G-Clef. It's already, the time bank is already down to 1 minute and 36 seconds. So I think Philippines has to use a lot of ults just to get the cart out of the parking lot.
Oh god. They literally have to, okay, they finally Philippines turned side, went to the, okay, never mind, walked immediately caught by the DPS.
Yes, Bugbot has to pop the Primal Rage just to stay alive, and slept.
And tied. Does not make it out. Oh, does not make it back in.
Oh, that nano overclock was shut down.
How so quickly? The damage focused by South Korea is just amazing. Another reason why they are certainly called as the favorite of the entire tournament.
Okay, Philippines is bringing out the Bastion.
Okay.
This is usually used to break the spawn camp. Let's see if Wuk's Bastion can break the defenses of South Korea and get that cart finally moving. 80%, so the Graviton Surge is imminent.
Here's Wuk again from the side. Far range, getting a few more, but Winston caught off by Sparkle.
Remember, 6 seconds and the payload is at 0 meters.
0.07. So basically 0 as they're trying to touch the point over time. No one can even
the Graviton Surge on the point! If you want to come to the point, go ahead!
Renisada got one. Mercy, overtime. The tick is gone, and that is basically 0.
Oh dear, that is utter destruction from the side of South Korea. I don't know how to analyze this, G-Clef.
I think Team Korea made your job a lot harder in a lot of ways. Because there were fights all over the place. And if one team literally cannot come out from the respawn, it's really tough to, even for the observers, to catch all the action because you expect the action to be near the payload, but it's from the gate, and there are a lot of gates. And we missed a couple of kills, but we kind of had an idea what was happening.
Well, I mean, again, I want to point out the bright spots here. Well, that South Korea was really, really impressive when they were doing that spawn camp because they were listening to the sounds and they were correctly inferring where the Philippines will be coming out from, and they had the early aggression from there. So good play from South Korea there, and look at the box over there. That is going to be the box of victory, and it's literally just there.
0.07 was the push. As let's see how Philippines have a near perfect defense. They need to hold this for minutes and minutes against South Korea. Life Fever is a total potential.
No, I think Chio is going with it. Philippines, yes, they have to do this. Oh,
wait, what? What? That's like C99. What?
That is.
Wait.
Philippines!
Did I miss something? I blinked.
I blinked too!
I literally blinked, and South Korea wins 2-0, and they will be tying up in terms of the standings with a 3-0 match score plus 6 maps.
Yes, South Korea is going 3-0, but I still have to talk about that match right now. I definitely have to talk about that match because what just happened over
Okay,
there?
Your job is to analyze.
Okay. Philippines wanted to spawn camp, and they wanted to do it the same way as Korea did. South Korea, the South Korea started with being on that roof of that center entrance there. They wanted to see where they could have, where South Korea was coming from. And they could drop down as soon as they figure out when and how South Korea was getting out of spawn. However, South Korea was like, okay,
There's no one.
there's no one. I'm just
the
gonna.
point.
And Hanbin was very clever here as well because that movement speed boost from the Orisa E there, I think Philippines wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, maybe they expected them to come out from the sides or to contest a little more, because once you stand on top, you can hear the sound of the footsteps of the heroes, so you can kind of have a prediction of where they're going to come out. Or I think they heard some widows, so expect some snipes to come into play, so they were hiding in a lot of action.
To be honest, I don't think Philippines was expecting South Korea to come out of the center gate just like openly like that, because maybe they thought that they were expecting South Korea to expect that Philippines was going to, cover the center ground. So maybe they were expecting South Korea to come on both sides of the map. But wow, I mean, I'm saying that was a big brain moment for South Korea.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, 2-0 victories for Chinese Taipei. It was our first match. Very quick victory. Again from South Korea. This team is close to being unstoppable until the last 2 days. I think they were up against one of the stronger teams, which I think will be against Hong Kong. And the last day will be Japan for South Korea. But unfortunately for Philippines, with the loss today, and also for Indonesia with the losses, I think that guarantees them out of the qualifying zone with 3 losses now in standings.
So unfortunately, we do have to say goodbye to Indonesia and Philippines. Yes, they will be playing. I think they will be playing tomorrow and
Tomorrow
the day
and the
after.
last day.
But as far as qualification goes, I think mathematically they don't have any chance to qualify anymore. Chinese Taipei, with today's win, they have to win 2 more games, 2 more matches in order for them to make that miracle run into the main event. However, wow, we've seen a lot of good matches today, although we do say goodbye to Indonesia and Philippines well, not yet, but for the qualifications. Indonesia and Philippines were pretty good. They've seen a lot of improvement, and I think this is one of the things, positives that you can take out of this tournament. Like as a team, as a player, you get to level up a little bit. And then also for Chinese Taipei and South Korea, we've seen how good they are, and I'm very excited to see what they have for the next few matches.
Yep, as this is the updated standings now. Japan, South Korea tied in first place. That will be determined, I think, on the last day. Who actually takes the first place and the second place. I think that big match is one of the last match that we have for Group A of APAC. But here we see some middle grounds now. So I think another story to tell for the teams in the middle. Hong Kong, Chinese Taipei, certainly fighting for that 3rd place spot. I think that's exactly what we were looking for here.
Exactly. Japan, South Korea, they already secured qualification in the bag. They will be fighting just for honor. And, I mean, given the 2 teams' history, they just don't want to lose against each other, even though South Korea will be looking like the favorites for that match. However, what's going to be interesting in this group is going to be the 3rd place match. Like you said, it looks like Hong Kong is going to be the favorites for 3rd place. However, not if Chinese Taipei has anything to say about it. And the scary part is, G-Clef, that Chinese Taipei is looking better than last week. So we might be seeing a different version of Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, excuse me. I thought South Korea had another match, but they're versing Indonesia, first one up. And there's a huge match there. Chinese Taipei, Philippines. If Chinese Taipei, if they really want to stay alive and keep that 3rd place hope up, they have to defeat Philippines with 2-0, I think. I don't think 2-1 is acceptable now with the numbers. And there's a huge match between Japan versus Hong Kong. And Japan did not play today, but They will be back against one of the stronger opponent here from Group A.
Things will get really, really spicy if Hong Kong loses to Japan and then Chinese Taipei wins against Indonesia. It's gonna get really, really dicey there.
Hey, I'm just still mind blown from how we finished the day.
Yeah, exactly.
It was literally a blink of an eye, C99, and those .07 meters, which is, of course, if you are familiar with inches, and that's basically in centimeters, which means that's probably like 3 inches, 7 centimeters.
Yeah, I was looking at chat. I'm gonna confess I looked at chat and I was 7.5 centimeters is the size of a credit card, and you just kind of like I think I'll be honest here. Maybe if a Zenyatta kick could kick a payload, that kick might have just pushed the payload as well. But yes, I'm still mind blown by that last moment of South Korea's win there. I'm just spitting words out right now because my mind is just
it's the
blown
qualifiers,
away.
and things happen. And when, especially for a team versus South Korea, any other team's going to have this struggle might actually continue for the opponent team in the next stage, because they're supposed to be one of the biggest for the top for the entire World Cup of 2023.
I think Korea is going to be very satisfied with like the win so far, because they haven't really shown a lot of the tactical aspects. They've been winning with sheer mechanics here, and I think I'm not really worried for South Korea, because South Korea is, unlike other teams on other regions or other teams in this group, they're not revealing the cards that they have been preparing. So maybe Rush has something really, really interesting cooked behind those coaching doors, and we haven't been even able to see them because nobody has pushed them to the point that they needed to use that.
Was there a single team who was able to take like ticks or
Hong Kong?
Just one, right?
Yes.
Just one map point, not the map point, like a point on the map.
Yes.
That was literally it, right?
Yes. Hong Kong in Kings Row got 2 points against South Korea, which is currently in the World Cup 2023 qualifiers. So far, is the best record against South Korea.
Yeah, because no other team had any point yet. And of course, there's a final match, South Korea versus Japan, which is, I think, a lot of you guys are also really hyped up for. Should be one of the best matches in Group A qualifiers. But for us, that's going to be it for day number 4. Continue to support all the teams in Group A as we continue our journey. We have few teams being eliminated. Of course, they'll be playing for the last 2 days, but still, we were looking for those top 3 teams. Who will those 3 teams be? Continue watching Group A here as we close today. Thank you for watching again, and see you next time.